It's so funny how things get like warped when you are trying to like pre-package something rather than and like make it palatable rather than just straight shoot what it is that you're talking about. In that same vein, a year ago, I've been reflecting a lot on the last year for me, and a year ago, I very much wanted to be a source of light in the dark, and I wanted to just lead from love. And while that's still very much true, it looks much different than I thought that it would. And it feels more grounded, more authentic now. That's not to say that it's not to say that it wasn't coming from the right place then, but it's more of an understanding and experience that lends to this being a more authentic presentation of what it is that I am seeking to do. With that, I just lost my train of thought here. I'm actually probably not going to look too much at the camera because I will lose my train of thought, and I will remember that I'm talking to the camera, and it will make me not to be as candid. And this just honestly has to be like really, really candid. Because so my point with that was why it was so warped is because so much of my life I've tried to be palatable. I've tried to dim myself, not be as confronting, not be as, I wouldn't say like forceful, but kind of staunchly in my own positions, viewpoints, and just, you know, how I see things and how I operate and what I think of the world. And that is something that even now I feel like I am coming out of. I talked a lot when I first started making videos. I talked a lot about coming from a place of love and light and leading from the heart. And I very much still believe in that. I also made a video. It was like my first video crying on the internet. I made a video talking about how I realized that I was still sort of like hiding from myself in a way, and how I just wasn't necessarily presenting the most authentic surrounding with this. And it was same vein, like, you know, not, you know, it was not wanting to show who I really, really am. The point in all of this is I just saw a video that like an hour and a half ago. I literally had to take that much time. It didn't like actually like piss me off, but I needed to like center myself. I knew it was someone I want to talk about. But before that, I like ranted for like 20 minutes just to spirit about the video itself, because while I think the person was very well meaning, and this isn't an attack at them, a dig at them, or anything like that, it speaks to a larger issue within the spiritual community, which is that too many spiritualists are on a high horse when it comes to spirituality and what it is that they do, how far it is that they are or aren't in their journey. And I think it's okay to understand that the whole like love and light community is repackaged Christianity, which is just repackaged spirituality. And so it gets very frustrating when you see that. However, it is also important to remember that that is their truth. And you can't judge anyone. I mean, you can, but like, if we're on a spiritual path and all of that, like, is that really, I don't know. I genuinely feel like, again, this is me trying to make it palatable. And I really just want to speak candidly. This might be confronting to some people. If it is, that's okay. It is what it is. My entire point is that, like I said, too many spiritualists are on a high horse. And I honestly felt like that spiritualist was on a high horse. And it speaks to a larger issue within the world. Everyone wants to talk about what's going on, especially in this country, and what we're descending into, and how it's like, you people need to wake up, and this, and this. It's like, okay, water is wet. Okay, like grass is green. Like, what? It's one thing to point out things and to call attention to a call to action, but when you call for action, you need to follow up with like actionable steps, solutions, plans. Otherwise, you're just screaming out into the void, saying like pointless things. It like, what are you adding here other than making people feel bad about themselves? Because the response to specifically world issues, then I'll get to the spirituality part of it. But like most of the time, the response to world issues, when people are like, you people need to wake the fuck up or whatever, it's like, I work 16 hours a day and I'm depleted all the time. Like, what are you expecting to do? Blah, 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 blah. When people are already, and a lot of this has to do with nervous system regulation, when people are already activated within their nervous system, whether they realize it or not, it is impossible for them to figure out solutions. You cannot find solutions while you are activated. So in that way, if you are going to call someone out for something, especially like the masses who aren't used to being confronted with the truth of situations and the dealing with that, right? Sitting with that and trying to move forward with it, like processing it and everything, you need to give people solutions to things. And tying it back into the spirituality thing, the specific video that I saw, a lot of the comments on there, it's actually what pissed me off, because it was just like, so many spiritualists are so phony and like this and this. And while I do feel as though a lot of new age spirituality is, again, based in repackaged Christianity, and it's not the spirituality that you actually think that it is, that is their thing, right? That's the same space of like, and I might lose people here, and that's fine. As a religion, I don't respect Christianity, and I say that with my full chest. No regrets about it. I do not respect Christianity. I feel like it is a tool for subjugation, and it is the Christianity that we see in society, like in today, is a very much perverted version of what is probably like true Christianity and the essence of spirit, right? So in that way, I don't respect it. However, just because I don't personally respect it, it's not a part of my ministry, it doesn't mean that I'm going to judge someone else, because that is how they find their center, through God and Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit and all of that. That if that's for you, if that works for you, that's fine. That is 100% fine. And it can be that that's not for you, and you can still respect other people. And it's not for you to say if something's phony or not phony, because in a way, it is working for them. It is helping them. And my entire point with that is all of it hinged on love and light. And also, I want to caveat, whatever creator it is that I saw, I didn't actually go to their page. So I watched the video through, but I didn't go to their page. So it's not, so maybe they are, finding solutions or whatnot. But based off the one video that I saw, it just seemed like they're screaming out into the void for no reason. Like, honestly, you could have kept that. And I probably could have kept that comment too, but like, it is what it is. I get wanting to find community, but I think the point in that is, I'll circle back around to what I was saying before, but in essence, I think the point is, if you see that there is something that is lacking, you're trying to create like community and space, you're trying to find community and space, maybe it's that you need to create it. Maybe it's that you're being called to lead in this, like in this way. Maybe instead of focusing on what it is that other people are or are not doing as it pertains to their own spirituality and who isn't following them, regardless of whether or not it is a perverted form of the true essence of something, that is their own journey. That is their own path to figure out. That's actually none of your business. And spending your time worrying about that literally is just that. You're worrying about it. You're wasting your energy when you could be focusing your energy towards building your own community. And that way you are only coming in contact, because if someone doesn't believe in that, right, they're going to just scroll on. They're not going to want to engage with you, with your community and all of that. And those who interact with it are like-minded on the same level. That's you creating something, that's you leading something, instead of being worried about what it is that someone is or isn't doing or teaching. Instead, don't worry about going and trying to correct someone else. Just start teaching the real truth of the thing, right? Because if you want to like take it to, well, that's their perspective and this is my perspective. When you look at it that way, two truths, multiple truths can exist at once. It just can. It just can. That's just the way that the universe works. But if you want to talk about the truth, the essence of a thing, then just talk about how, like, what actual spiritual, like the old ways that we're being called back to, and what it actually means to be of the light. Because I do think that the creator had a point with the notion of everything is all love and light for some of these new age spiritualists. And that's not the reality of spirituality. Spirituality is facing your darkness, right? Bringing light to your darkness, being aware of it, integrating your shadow, right? A lot of shadow work. To be completely honest with you, love and light is shadow work. It is understanding yourself, bringing a greater awareness to yourself so that you then can have a greater awareness of humanity. And it affects how you move throughout the world, right? So my point in that is, it's not phony for those people who, if they believe that is their truth, it's not phony for them. If that is how they're staying here on this earth, and that is how they are inspiring other people, to an extent, like, do we want people to go back to the old ways? Like, yes. Is that the entire point, for us to start to raise our frequency and raise the earth's vibration and all of that? Yes, 1000%. But you're not going to get there by being divisive and sort of isolating people and going, your form of spirituality is wrong. It's just like, how accepting is that? It's not very accepting. It's very judgmental. And in fact, it is in line with how Christianity today is. And within Christianity, there is no room for other religions. There is only Jesus Christ. And if you follow any other religion, you're wrong, you're a sin, you're going to hell, all these sorts of things. When most other religions allow space for other religions and understand that there are other religious practices and teachings and respect it. Instead of saying, well, if you hold space for other religions, then you aren't truly a Christian. It's kind of that same vein. It's like, oh, if you don't believe in this way of spirituality, if you don't believe in shadow work, then you're not a true spiritualist. No, they're just not there in their journey. They're just not there in their journey. Tying it back to the beginning of me saying reflecting on the past year of my life. A year ago, I was a love and light person because again, I didn't know that was me trying to still be palatable, trying to make myself small, and not wanting to face certain things. And this is coming from a person who has done like extensive shadow work. Even then, I had done like extensive shadow work, but the like actual depths of it that allowed me to, raise my awareness and deepen my spirituality and my devotion to spirit, that required a much darker descent into the underworld that honestly almost took me out a couple times. I've been very candid on here, and if you're seeing this on YouTube, on TikTok, about how, especially this past summer, one, how it kicked my ass, but like two, how sometimes when you're on your journey, it can be like, you know what, this isn't even worth it. This isn't even worth it. I've literally said, I understand why some people don't heal, why some people don't do the work, because it's hard, it's confronting, and yes, it's meant to be hard. That is the entire point of our existence. It's meant to be hard. But because it's meant to be hard, not everyone's meant to do that. Furthermore, you're not judge and jury. You don't know where someone is in their journey, in their healing journey within this lifetime. And you also don't know where their soul is in their journey. Maybe in this lifetime, they're not meant to fall into a deeper awareness of their essence and their consciousness and all of this. Maybe that's not their point. Maybe for this one, they're just starting, and just starting for them looks like, promoting or touting or whatever new age spirituality, like repackaged Christianity and all that. I'm so sorry. I might edit that out. Furthermore, like it's the same thing of you cannot force someone to heal. You cannot force someone to do healing work, to do trauma work and all of that, because if you do that, you can, like, if you try to, one, where is that coming from? And we'll circle back around to that. Two, you try to do that, you might wind up, and they might wind up doing more damage to themselves if you face things that you aren't ready to face yet, re-traumatizing your psyche. And look at you now, instead of dealing with said trauma, you now have more trauma on top of it, and now you've associated dealing with that with trauma in and of itself, instead of just, you know, addressing traumatic issues. Do you see what I'm saying here? It's like, you have to be ready, you have to decide. And even like furthermore into that, I'm losing my thought here. Not really, but my mind is going everywhere. I'm trying to organize my thoughts. My entire point is that, actually no, just in what I was saying, because it'll tie itself back together, whatever. If I lose you, I lose you. Again, people are where they are in their journey, wherever they are meant to be. It is not for you to judge that. It is for you to see something, decide that that is not what you align with, that is not your ministry, and keep it pushing. And decide, okay, hey, if I can't see, if I'm not seeing, if it's not being reflected back to me, what it is that I believe, how it is that I view spirituality, how it is that I feel like we should be engaging with spirituality, and how we are navigating it here on earth, go create it. What's stopping you from creating it? Or do you just want to sit on your high horse and complain about how other people are or are not promoting the true essence of spirituality? It's easier to just sit and complain, isn't it? Instead of going and like doing the, I guess, deviant is the only word that's coming to mind here. Like deviating from the norm and going and calling certain things out, and just deciding yourself that you are going to start teaching these sorts of things, and those who flock to you, and just not worrying about those other people. Because what does you acknowledging that so many other spiritualists are doing this, what does that actually do for you? It actually does nothing for you. Like it genuinely does nothing for you. And the second you understand that, and you understand that, and this isn't even a not everything needs to be spoken on sort of thing. Like I know I kind of said that earlier, but like really it's not a not everything needs to be spoken on. It's just that like we are moving into a time where it's like, okay, and what? So what? What are you going to do about it? What are you bringing to the table here? How are you going to be a part of the problem, or are you going to be a part of the solution? It's really that simple. And again, going back to what I was saying before, people believe what it is that they want to believe. And actually, no way, I am going to pause here because there's something that I'm losing. So give me a second. Okay, I got it. Kind of my point of it. My point in talking about like people believe whatever it is that they want to believe, but also people believe whatever it is that they can handle at that time. Not everyone is like ready to do the gut-wrenching shadow work that is required of truly being a source of light in this world. There are times when dealing with when being confronted with issues and stuff, wounds that were playing out in my life and all of that, there were times where it was literally hard to stomach. Like I wouldn't eat for weeks. I just had no appetite because it was that hard to stomach. Furthermore, and it's like processing. And even with that, I'll get to that in a second actually. Even with that process, like the action of processing that is alchemization. It's transmutation. Not everyone knows how to do that. Most people, even in spirituality, like even in the spiritual community, most people don't even understand that feeling your feelings actually means sitting here feeling it. Where is that located in your body? How is your nervous system being activated in this moment? I see very few spiritualists actually talking about the nervous system and how it plays into everything as it pertains to spirituality, how it guides everything. So if most people aren't even talking about that, aren't even aware of that, what makes you think that they understand like how to actively like decide to alchemize energy when being confronted with something gut-wrenching? Do you understand how hard that is? It's hard for us. And we're aware. Do you like, and even more on that of I can't even remember what I said I was going to circle back to, but that's okay. I'm sure it'll come out. Even more with that, do you know how many times I have been discounted, overlooked, just pushed to the side by people like very close to me, which caused a lot of like harm and trauma, because I'm a person who is, I have a very childlike spirit. I have a very, in short, a very naive sort of spirit, because I believe the best in everyone. Like, not because I don't think that there's darkness in this world, because when it's all said and done, we all have a choice. There are good actions, there are bad actions. Doesn't mean that that person is this or that, but we all have the capacity to do good, just as we all have the capacity to do bad. And I believe that people are inherently good. And that has caused a lot of people to weaponize that against me, to justify their trauma, like the trauma that they've inflicted upon me, like the trauma that they've perpetuated, whatever. You get what I'm saying. And still, that childlike, naive, like essence that I have about me has not gone anywhere. And my point in saying that is, I can acknowledge that there is a part of me that is like that, but equal to that is a part of me who, which honestly, it's not even parts. This is just who I am, right? I am like, as much as I am love and light, everything's gonna work itself out. Look at the bigger picture, blah 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 blah. One, there's the middle part of me understanding that there is human me who's feeling whatever I'm feeling, and the 5D energetic being that I am, that understands the greater picture and how things are playing out and why, according to the universe. And then there is the well, I guess actually not a middle. That's literally that, right? There's human me that feels what I feel, and then there's like 5D me that understands the bigger picture. Both are true. Both exist within time and space. And I allow space for both of them. It can be that I understand, as an energetic being, I understand the reason for whatever pain it is that I'm going through, like how it's growing me, how it's pushing me, what is the larger plan, how this all ties into that. It can be that I understand that, and I also can say at the same time, fuck that shit, because human me hurts. Human me feels like this is hard. Do you get what I'm saying? Also, there's like a lawn guy outside, and it's kind of messing with my train of thought here. I'm gonna pause again. Right, okay, yeah, that's duality. That is understanding that both can exist and allowing space for both, not prioritizing one over the other. Taking it a step further, it's one thing to process and alchemize pain. It is another thing to look at, and this ties into a larger point, so stick with me here. It is another thing to look at someone else's actions and see what it is rooted in. Again, it does not justify it. It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't change how you feel in that moment, but it also means that this person is just acting out according to their own trauma, their own patterns, and all of that, right? If they so choose to make that choice. And still seeing the humanity in them. And I guess my larger point in that is what my gripe with Love and Light, and my gripe with people who have issues with Love and Light, is that both sides are too quick to just write people off, right? So you have the side of like, everything's not Love and Light, blah, blah, blah. And again, like those comments are like, they're, you know, those spiritualists are so phony and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And then there's the people who are touting that and are just like, you know, you have to forgive someone. They're the people who are like, that's your mom, you have to forgive her. That's your brother, you have to forgive them, right? Like, or you've known Tom down the road for your entire life, right? Like, you have to overlook it. You're a bad person if you don't overlook it. And so it's spiritual bypassing. On both ends, it's spiritual bypassing, because it is understanding, again, like collectively, people are just a little too quick to be on their high horse, judge another person, and also cast people away, exile people, write people off, when actual light can look like, okay, I'll tell you a quick story here. A bit of like my personal life. Recently, my biological father, we do not have any sort of relationship. We haven't had a relationship for like pretty much the entirety of my life. To me, for me, he is a monster. He is the monster in my story. Like, everything stems from him. He himself is not a monster, because there are so many other people in his life who look up to him, who love him, who are in community with him, who he is not a horrible piece of shit to, unlike how he is to his daughter. And it is what it is, right? It doesn't mean, like, he himself is not, and to be completely honest with you, with all the things that he's done to me, how our relationship is played out, it's generational cycles. Those things happen to him, and instead of him growing out of those things, he begins to perpetuate the same harm that was inflicted upon him. I don't respect it in the sense of like human being who had to experience that, right? But with like a conscious, like with like awareness, I understand how that stuff happens. I understand how people choose not to break generational cycles. And furthermore, if you want to zoom out universally, it might not be for them to break that cycle. It could be that they have the opportunity, but again, it might not be their path this lifetime. It might be that they have to inflict a bit more, right? They have to perpetuate the harm more to the next generation so that they can break the cycle, right? So that they have the choice. It can either be that you were both afforded the choice and you decided not to, and so then it passed on to the next person. But it could also be that it just wasn't in their path, in their lifetime. What I've had to make peace with when it comes to him is I genuinely feel like in this lifetime, in this soul cycle for him, it is not for him to actually confront all the things that he's done, right? That is him racking up his own karma to later be addressed when he is a more evolved soul. And, you know, it doesn't take away from, for the last 3 years, I've sat in trauma therapy crying about how I feel like I'm worthless, how I don't deserve to live, and like how I don't even want to exist and take up space and like all of that, and how I feel like I'm too much for life and all of that. It doesn't take away from any of that. It doesn't. But I also understand that inside of him, it's just a little boy hurting too. And he just decided not to, you know, left or right. He went right. I went left. It is what it is. That was my soul's path. Again, doesn't take away from it. And I just deviated very long there. And I can't even remember what my original point was. I got it now. That is just a small example of, and yes, that's me. I was able to come to that sort of realization, acceptance. Not everyone's going to be able to do that, and not everyone is able to alchemize that energy like that and see it in that way and take that pain and do something greater with it, or do something, like, that's my point. My entire point in this is that shadow work. Excuse me, sorry, I ate carrots before this and I had a whole mug of tea. That shadow work is intense, right? When you unearth all of this energy that's been buried, you then have to do something with that, or else it's just sitting on you and it's not productive, and not everyone knows how to do that. That is my entire point. So it's like just such a much better use of your time to just focus on teaching people how to alchemize energy, if you so choose, if you so feel called. Teaching people the real ways of spirituality, rather than just screaming into the void, getting on social media and just, to me, sitting on a high horse. And this specific creator, again, this is actually not an attack to this creator, but they did say like gems that I think are worth addressing as it pertains to the larger issue. They specifically spoke about the law of polarity and how everything exists in duality. The law of polarity also talks about like how it's all on the same spectrum, right? Two sides of the same coin. Again, I lost my train of thought there. I was saying, like, to me, that is right. So in essence, on one hand, it's judgment. I'm gonna have to just hold on, stick with me here. I tried getting it back and there's just blank in my mind as it pertains to that. My brain has actually shut that off. So that's one or two things. I think both, honestly. One, I probably wasn't meant to get into that too much just yet, but I also think I probably wasn't meant to get into that just yet because this has kind of fried my brain. And because it's a lot of, talking, unearthing of things. And so I think this is where I'm meant to cut it off, tie it all together. This is something that I will revisit. This is something that I feel very strongly about. And I know I literally just said it, but I want to reiterate, this is not an attack on that creator. This is pointing to a larger issue within spirituality and how we all just need to have more of an awareness and more compassion and grace for other people, and how that can look. I remember what I originally meant when bringing up my biological father. How how boundaries can look different. How boundaries, love and light and all of that. But it's like duality. Tying it back to get to the law of polarity. Hello? I do need to wrap this up. Polarity. This isn't the original point that I was just about to make, but this is something different. Tying it back into that duality. Love and light is not wanting to harm someone, but also like the true essence is like, so if we just want to go light, dark, right? Like love and light, shadow. Middle is integration and all of that. Light is wanting to give someone the benefit of the doubt or not going off on somebody for one reason or another. Darkness is, this is just an example. Darkness is reading somebody for filth and, retaliating, karma, all of this kind of stuff, right? There's the middle, integration, boundaries. So some people, this is the true thing of what I'm saying. Some people in my life, I do not have contact with. I do not speak to because it is a kindness. If we're talking specifically, let's go back to the thing of my biological father. Me cutting him out of my life, and I did that at a very young age, was a kindness to that man. And even now, because I actually had to redo that just, very recently, even like that was very much a kindness. that was not just, oh, love and light, whatever. That was like a full integration of shadow, because I know myself. And I know that I will tell you exactly how, where, and when you had me fucked up. And I will pull up the receipts of how I think that you are actually a piece of shit and why you are a piece of shit, the cycles that you are perpetuating, and how you are just like your daddy, and all these other things, right? Like, I could do that, but is that coming from a place? Here's my bigger point too. Sorry, y'all. This is all over the place. Here's my bigger point to that too. Like, I could do that, but where is that coming from? Right? And I know that it wouldn't be fully from a place of love, from a place of truth or justice or blah, blah, blah. Also, sometimes, like, justice is not yours to get. Karma will work itself out. That's not for you to worry about. It's not fully from that. It's a lot of that, while it may be true, while whatever I would have said or done would have probably been justified, he probably would have deserved all of it. It's also a lot rooted in the hurt little girl in me, right? You integrate that energy, you alchemize that energy, but it doesn't change the fact that somewhere part in your psyche is still that like wounded person, right? And so the bigger thing of that is where are certain things coming from? And I think this is my bigger issue of me saying that I don't feel like there was a point to that creator making that video. Again, not an attack on this creator. It wasn't coming from the heart. It wasn't malicious in any aspect, but it wasn't coming from the heart. It wasn't heart-led, right? Shining light on the darkness, bringing truth to things, clarity to things, unearthing things, blah, 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 all in alignment with truth, right? It's like in tarot, how swords are like, they're double-edged. They can go either way, because that's the thing, because a sword is a weapon. No matter how you're using it, it is a weapon. And so it really matters how you are using that weapon. Are you using it to enlighten someone, to shed light on something, to be a source of truth? Or are you using it to cut? Even if you're saying the truth, what is your intention with it? What is your intention with the words? And again, I don't think that creator's words were malicious or anything like that, but I don't think that it was productive. I think what actually makes it worse is because it wasn't productive, it led to these comments that are rooted like in superiority, really. Because going back to, and here's my thing. This could even be said about this video, and that's completely fine. This is meant to whoever is like actually ready and willing to view people deeper, allow more space for the flawed essence that is like humanity, human existence. This is for those people. This is me saying, hey, we don't actually have to, like, it doesn't have to be us against them. It doesn't have to be like what we feel as though is, and I mean, it is, but like if we want to be just not devil's advocate, but if we, whatever, technically it's ours, is what we feel like is the true essence of spirituality, right? Like, because someone else's reality is completely different. Both can exist. It can be that like maybe those people just need that, and you just respect that, and in the meantime you hold out your hand for those who are ready to walk with you to like deeper awareness, to growing, to raising their consciousness and their frequency and all of that, to truly alchemizing things, to truly understanding that you are a sovereign being, right? That's the entire point of of delving into your shadow to understand that you are a sovereign being, that you are not shackled to anything, that you can alchemize any energy, that you can do anything that you want to do. And half the time we don't believe that is because of said shadows, right? And so instead of just focusing on what those people are not doing, are not teaching, and who is or is not following them because of it, because you could make the argument of, well, I'm saying this because so many people follow that. Okay, and that's serving them for now. If the person is not doing actual harm, let it be, and just go and create a community that's more aligned with the new reality that we are birthing, the way that we are actually being called to ascend. Focus on that. And that's kind of my point here. It's just that, like, if because I understand that this can seem as like an attack, this can seem as a rant, this could also seem as like me myself on a high horse, but my entire point is that we are all human, we all make mistakes, we all do things, we're all capable of things. Part of integrating your shadow is just that, is understanding that there is a shadow aspect to you, integrating it with your darkness, not doing away with it, because that is not actual, like, that's not integration, that's not like being of the light or whatever. It's bringing it with you, the lessons and all of it with you, not carrying the pain, alchemizing that pain, right? Like doing something productive with it. Our whole being, like, do you get what I'm saying here? It's to show people that hey, you have so much potential. Clearly, if you see this, and I might not even post this on TikTok, but if I do, if this comes across the girl who actually said it, if you see this, dude, you're a ray of light. You have so much power. You have so much energy that you could use to just helping people do exactly what it is that you are complaining about, instead of complaining about it. Clearly, again, lastly, clearly you are being called, like the way you're being called to serve at this time. Excuse me, I'm going to take that as a confirmation burp because that was forceful. The way that you're being called to serve at this time, you have ascended. So now you're ready. The student becomes the teacher. You're ready to go and teach. So go teach. Stop worrying about what the fuck someone else is doing. Go. Those who are meant to follow you, who are meant to ascend at this time, they will find you. You know that the universe works that way. You know that the universe will guide those people to you. So why are you worried about what someone else is doing? And that's the entire point of this. I know this I'm going in a loop here. This is my last thing. I know this in and of itself seems like it's its own loop, but it's the point of like, hey, wake up, people. Wake up. One, accept people where they are. You don't have to have any part of it. But you don't have to judge them. You don't have to act like you're better than them. That's just where they are in their journey. Also, deviation here. But not really. Okay, whatever. Also, my whole point in all of this is just like the dark, like you can't have light without darkness, and you can't have good without evil, even though I don't believe in good and evil. Again, you can't have light without darkness. You cannot have darkness without light. Dude, and also you want to talk about polarity, the law of polarity and all of that, and duality? For there to be people, light beings, there has to be darkness. There have to be people whose path, whose mission is for them to be dark, right? For them to not be a source of light and truth and love and justice. That's just their soul's journey at this time. To be honest, why I think that it's such a high horse is because you don't know where they are in their journey, and who are you to judge from an energetic space, not a human space, from an energetic space? Who are you to judge what their soul signed up for in this lifetime? Furthermore, we all have our role. That is why just focus on what it is that you're trying to create, because they have their role, no matter how bad or flawed or perverted or just whatever, no matter whatever it is. Whatever it is, people have their role. We don't like to admit it, but bad shit happens sometimes because it it pushes you to grow. Like, very harsh things happen because it pushes you to grow. That creator specifically said that, you know, they found their spirituality through having very harsh life lessons, and just having to go through a lot of darkness. Me too, babe. Me too. Do I feel like, we'll take this past summer for me. If you see me over on TikTok, and if you're on TikTok, if you see me this past summer, you saw that my eyes were jacked up the entire summer, like, because I was crying so much that my eyes were inflamed and red and raw for the most of the summer. I looked tore up, right? On the other side of that, now I understand what was happening. I understand the transformation, and I don't regret the transformation. But if I'm just being human, and I've literally said this to the universe, I was like, bro, that was dramatic as fuck. I was like, one, that was cruel. Y'all didn't have to do that. Two, that was a very dramatic way to get me to Phoenix. Very dramatic. Very dramatic. Like, overall, the universe is just dramatic, especially if you have a higher calling in this world. You know, sometimes you just got to go through a lot of stuff to alchemize it, to show that you can alchemize it, to have that strength, to have that dog in you, for other people. And it is what it is. It sucks. It's not like you asked for it. But at the end of the day, you are happy that you understand the extent of your shadow in that way, and that it doesn't have a hold on you like it does for a majority of the world. And so if anything, if you must feel something for those people, pity, maybe not pity, but just like a bit of sadness. Maybe they will ascend, maybe they won't ascend. And how they're trapped in this loop, how they're stuck in their mind, how they are actually subjugated, whether they are aware of it or not. It doesn't have to be that they're these horrible people. They're these phonies or whatever. They just have not ascended to the level that you've ascended. And that's just the honest truth of it. And I think I've been talking for like an hour, or maybe even for like 45 minutes to an hour. That is the essence of this 45 minutes. If you stuck around this long, kudos to you. Love that so much. Love that so much. Again, if someone found this confronting, kind of good, but also I'm done hiding. I'm done hiding. I feel certain ways about certain things, and I feel like just as much as you want to say that those new age spiritualists are kind of twisted in the brain and what they're doing, I felt like what you were doing was twisted in the brain. I felt like it wasn't coming from a good place, and I feel like there's nothing wrong with people wanting to be love and light, because I think that, again, the actual essence of love and light, being a source of love and light, looks vastly different from how people view it. And just because other people view it that way doesn't mean that you have to demonize the thing, right? It doesn't mean that you have to do that. It can be that they took it and put their own spin and definition on it or whatever. That doesn't change what in reality it actually is. And because of that, there's no need to outcast that and to act like, oh, people who are like that are just to like write them off or whatever. Especially someone like me, I'm just, whatever, use me as an example here. Especially someone like me who, like, yeah, I am a person of like love and light, but I also get like, just as I'm doing now, of like having a like honest conversation about stuff, I'm not sugarcoating anything. I said I didn't think what you said was productive. And I thought that the people in the comments were on a high horse and all of that. Like, I'm being honest. I'm not just like mincing words. I'm not just being like, come on guys, let's kumbaya. Let's accept everyone and where they are in their journey and all of this and all of that. No, it's just like, dude, we all are, we're in our journey where we're meant to be. And instead of judging that, go and do something better with your energy. Just that. Anyway, I hope this all made sense. I am actually wrapping it up here. I love you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye. I need to add on something because apparently I can't shut up. Actual love and light looks like seeing yourself for the totality of your being, right? Light. Shedding light on the darkest parts of you. And instead of sorry, I should say, instead of casting away that part that you just shed light on, you are, which also light is bringing awareness to something, right? Like illuminating something, unearthing something, right? Bringing it out into light. So instead of casting that away, you are bringing it in. You are deciding that that is a part of you, and that is okay. It might not be one of your favorite parts of you. It might not be something that you're proud of, but it doesn't have to be something that you're ashamed of, that you're guilty of, that you classify yourself as a bad person because you are like that, because there's a side of you that's like that. Because that's not who you are in the totality of your being, and you understand it and you accept that. Love. You look at yourself with love and compassion. You have love for all aspects of yourself. You told me how spirituality and shadow work isn't actually the epitome of love and light. Sorry, like this actually, if I think about it too much, it actually pisses me off just a little bit, because like I said, this is a new video, but it's gonna tie all together. As I just said at the end of whatever, caveats make me lose my train of thought. Sorry, y'all. I can't remember. It doesn't even matter. I'll come back to it. Nope, I can't remember. But for us to be like of love and light with ourselves, like within ourselves, and to allow space for there to be love and light and fear and hate, right? So like, excuse me, light, darkness. To meet in that middle of ourselves, to see, to be able to withstand shedding light on the darkest parts of ourselves, and then take it a step further and integrate those things, hold those things with love, hold space for those aspects of self. That raises our awareness and our level of consciousness, right? We're then supposed to, because we're human, and because as humans, we are a part of a whole, right? We're an individual, a part of a collective. That is the entire point of humanity. You are your own sovereign being that is also tied to a collective consciousness, because we're all energy. And that is like pretty much the basis of spirituality, oneness, right? So if you have that love and compassion for yourself, why can't you have that for someone else? Why can't you see, okay, these are dark parts of them, and it's not love and light as in you excuse it. It's that you, things that are that are brought to the surface, is that you see it, and you see it for what it is, and you still love them for being human. And with that, I mean, you don't cast them aside. You don't just exile them, because where's the space for forgiveness? Where's the space for growth? Where's the space for awareness, right? Understanding that this person could have done something and you don't have to be in community with them, right? But it doesn't make them this horrible freaking person. And even if they are a horrible person, they are still a human. They are still a human that is capable of redemption if they so choose. Do you have to witness that journey? Do you have to coach them along that journey? Do you like be in community with them along that journey or anything like that? No. But the whole point of it's acceptance, accepting that like there are dark parts of people, there are dark parts of humanity, right? But that doesn't make you any less human. And I've said so many times, I just watched the entire video back, and the amount of times I said this is my bigger point, right? Like, but in closing, it is that, again, caveats, dude. It is that, again, I can't remember because like my brain is short-circuiting. As spiritualists, as people within the spiritual community, our entire point like is to grow our consciousness, right? To ascend, to connect to the oneness that is spirit and all of that. that has to, like, no, no, I've lost it. But this is crazy. I need to wrap it up. But this is such a good point. I'm sorry, guys. Excuse me. This drained me. Because speaking in this way is one, is something I'm deeply passionate about, clearly, but also it's something that, like I said, I've shied away from a lot because it's polarizing, it's confronting, and a lot of people like to slap a label on me for that thing. And I can't remember what I was just saying now, but I also want to circle back to another point that I was making within the earlier part of the video, of saying, you know, my duality of myself, and my point in bringing up that I have been considered a very, very naive person, right? Considered a person who looks at the world as if it's just some fairy tale through a very idealistic lens. I think there's magic in every opportunity, every essence of everything, and of all things that we are, right? Because all of it's energy, and energy is magic. At that same token, like on that same token, same coin, whatever, as much as people have discounted me, overlooked me, used my naivete to, I don't think I said the right, but whatever, to justify the harm that they have perpetuated, at that, like, same thing, those same people in their times of darkness have looked to me to be a source of hope, to be a source of light, to be able to, again, like, see the light out of all of that darkness. Because duality, because yes, I'm a very idealistic person. Yes, I believe that, like, everything is magic and fairy tales and blah, 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 blah. But I also understand that we go through things, that you know, stuff can be hell, that, like, not everything is roses and sunshine. Sometimes it's thunder and rain and more rain and more rain and then a tsunami, like, right? I know the depths of my being, and I still choose to show up as a source of love and light. And it doesn't discount the work that I've done. And though other people have or have not seen it, at the end of the day, who do you look to when you need inspiration, when you need hope, when you need a solution? You look to those people who are rays of light, who have a sunny demeanor. And it doesn't mean that just because they have a sunny demeanor, it doesn't mean that just because I think that everything's gonna work itself out, that doesn't mean that I'm some airhead, that I'm some idiot. And I have gotten to a point where it's like, if you want to overlook that, good, great, underestimate me. I love that for you. It is what it is. But I just think overall with spirituality, like, we just need to stop judging people. Just stop judging people and stop writing people off so quickly, because it shows just how limited you still are in your thinking. It shows how rooted in your ego you still are. And that's okay. My entire point is that that's okay, actually, because we are always, dealing with our ego, fighting our ego and all of that. But it's you realizing and bringing your own awareness to the fact that that is your ego speaking, that your ego puts you on a high pedestal as it, like, in comparison to other people. And that's not very oneness of you. That's not very enlightened of you. I'm just being honest. It's not. I don't like that. I don't like that shit at all. Like, that is something that really, really, really pisses me off. Really does. It's why I have a problem with the New Age spiritualists and Christianity as a whole, because they do the same thing. So maybe let's not do that. Maybe let's just let people be who they are, let people be where they are in their journey, and let's keep our side of the street clean, and let's work on building a community that reflects our morals and our values. Build the world that we want to see. Be the change that we want to see. All of that, right? Like, this is just a long way of saying a neutral take that was not productive led to very mean-spirited energy that I don't fuck with. And Other people can feel like it wasn't mean-spirited. I feel like it was mean-spirited. Because you get educate those people, and if they don't want to be educated, then you just accept it. That's just not where they are in their journey, and you keep it pushing. Because here's the thing with writing people off, right? We always have the capacity. It's always available to us to raise our awareness, to grow, right? To face our depths, and to change, and to do different. But if you believe that people are beyond reproach, that people should just be cast aside, exiled out, when they are ready and like holding their hand out for a teacher, for a guide, who is there to like, because at some point you believed in things that I didn't agree with, that I felt like was like phony energy. Do you see what I mean? And it's not you as in you, but the metaphorical you, right? Like if all of us have this perspective, then when those people are ready, when it is their turn and their cycle, the wheel turns that way for them, who's going to be there to hold space for them, to bring them along? And it doesn't make sense to not do that, because at one point or another, you were also a piece of shit. Like, let's just be honest. If we're going on the thing of most people who, you know, dive into spirituality, especially with the depth of which, like I'm talking about, you've gone through stuff. You've gone through stuff, and you cannot tell me that in the entirety of your life, of all the things that you've gone through, that you have not been a hurt person that has hurt people. And yet you still managed to be rehabilitated, to change, to grow, to do better, to do different. One way or another, someone, something, some entity helped you along that way. So what do you look like spitting in the face of other people? I told y'all this is something I get very passionate about. This is something I feel very strongly about. So I'm just gonna end it here. I love y'all so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.